Tony Stark has had a very rough time lately. Welcome to the Comicstorian Complete Story series, where we take trade paperbacks and single issues and we break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then we read them dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. Tony has lost his fortune, access to his company, and now Fei Long is trying to take Stark's company and make Sentinels to hunt down the X-Men. This is during the Fall of X event, when the world has turned against mutants once again, and they are using Tony's technology against them. Now, Tony has to figure out how to stop Fei Long, get his company back, and save the mutants from the Stark Sentinels. On top of this, he has now married a disguised Emma Frost to hide her from the Stark Sentinels. And now he is searching for Mysterium to build his new suit, a special metal that was created by the mutants. This is Invincible Iron Man 13, 14, and 15. This was recorded by Benny a while ago, but had not yet been turned into a video. So here you go, and I hope you enjoy.
Outside the city, Tony and Emma are leaning against his car, the full moon shining over their heads. "I trust you haven't driven me up to the Catskills for a fake romantic getaway," Emma says as she glances at Tony. He smiles, shaking his head, explaining that they need to get up into space and get the rest of that Mysterium. "We need a ride, so I called in a favor." Emma points out that it will seem suspicious if they just disappear from the club, but a bright light suddenly shines down upon them. "I have a plan for that!" Two Skrulls get out of a spaceship. "Tony Stark, I'm the Chun, and this is my servant, Nadak," the female Skrull says. Tony thanks them and promises to pay them on the pair's return. The Skrulls then shapeshift before them, becoming copies of Tony and Emma and heading towards their car as Tony and Emma head towards the ship. Their perfect plan in place, the world will not see Tony Stark or Hazel Kendall leave the planet, while Tony and Emma get to do their job. "After the non-stop ordeals of the last few months, that poor Skrull can have my life as the White Queen, Emma Frost, and Hazel Kendall," Emma says with Tony glancing at her. "If we're successful, you can be anyone you want when this is over, Emma." They glance up at the ship as a new person stands in the entryway. Star Fox, smiling down at both of them. "She could be anyone else, but why would she when she's already a visage of beauty perfected?" Star Fox says. Tony introduces the pair and they all climb aboard. "Let's get rich, everyone!" Tony proclaims. Meanwhile, Ironheart, aka Riri Williams, has slipped aboard the Orcus space station, using her 10 Mandarin rings to disguise herself and create an explosion to throw off Orcus security. With that, she steals her own ship heading into space, informing Tony that she is now en route to the Dwarven Forge Masters. Across the galaxy, Tony, Emma, and Star Fox arrive at the game world, where the mutants have kept their stores of Mysterium as a sort of galactic bank. Star Fox continues to flirt with the beautiful Emma Frost to no avail. "I'm having performance issues, Tony," Star Fox says glumly. Tony just smiles at him as the three continue to move through the casino. "She's not falling for your shtick, Star Fox, and we always want what we cannot have," Tony tells him. Star Fox bids them adieu as he moves off to create his distraction. Meanwhile, Tony and Emma slip into the elevator and prepare for their mission, with Tony putting on his stealth armor. "Now I suppose we wait in this elevator for the signal from Horn Fox?" Emma jokes, but the elevator suddenly opens behind them. Emma stares in a slight surprise as they see a group of pirates squaring off with the Game World judges. "Well, this looks quite dreadful," she notes. The two groups are shouting insults and threats at one another before suddenly opening fire. "Get behind me!" Tony shouts to Emma, and Emma uses her powers to knock some of them out as Tony fires sleep darts at the others. But blaster fire is still ripping through the room, bouncing off the walls and into the elevator. "I'm starting to worry about catching a stray, so I think I'll get hard," Emma says as her diamond form slides over her skin. "Then just look fabulous, and I'll do all the stunning," Tony says as Emma steps out of the elevator, powering up his center beam, firing at her. This allows it to reflect off of her diamond body, shooting around the room as she dances and twirls. In moments, all of the pirates and guards have fallen to the floor. "Let's move quickly. They'll be ornery when they awake," Emma notes, when suddenly another elevator opens up to reveal a pregnant woman begging for help from the guards. But Star Fox suddenly looks down at the finished battle, pulling off his wig in annoyance. "We already sorted out all of the unpleasantness," Emma points out, and Star Fox shrugs. Grant! And what can I do to help now? He tells them. Tony motions to the vast warehouse of Mysterium behind them. Help us load it up. With the metal now loaded aboard his ship, Star Fox, aka Eros, beams Tony and Emma back to Earth, preparing to make the journey to drop the metal off with Riri and the dwarves at the Orcus station. Back on Earth, Tony and Emma return to the Hellfire Club. Thank to bring your back. I thought I'd perish of boredom, the Emma Scroll says as they walk through the room. She is a perfect me, Emma points out, and the scroll hands them a newspaper that captured a story about them. We portrayed rich, beautiful human celebrities, and if you enjoyed our performance, please book us again. Here's proof of our deception, the scroll says. The scrolls leave as Tony and Emma read the article, which shows them ice skating at Rockefeller Center and kissing. Those spacefaring lizard assassins were a better us than we are. I'd always wanted to skate at Rockefeller Center, Emma says softly. Tony looks at her for a moment before putting away the paper and reaching out for her hand, kissing it gently. Emma, we're going to win, he tells her softly. That night, they try to enjoy themselves, skating at Rockefeller Center as snow gently falls on the city. With our dumpster fire lives, I'd completely forgotten it was the holidays, Tony says as they slide across the ice. You know, being married isn't so bad. This beats being locked away in an armor on a night like this. Emma smiles at him, and as the snow falls, the two share a beautiful moment in the otherwise dark world, getting to know each other as husband and wife. Meanwhile, in the vastness of space, Riri is playing solitaire as she waits for her ship to reach the Dwarven Forge Masters. But there's a beep from the computer as it detects the incoming ship. She rushes to the window, staring out, and her eyes widen in surprise. What the hell? She whispers when the radio crackles. Hiya! You're from Earth, aren't you? Super cool. My name is Forge. I'm on the X-Men. Back with Tony, nightmares are swirling through his mind of his defeat at the hands of Magneto when the powerful mutants used his armor against him. He awakens with a scream and the nightmares banished. He gets out of bed, crossing the window, and he knows that he created technology to combat Magneto's powers. He looks into the sky, seeing the Stark Sentinels patrolling, knowing that that technology is now being used against the mutants for evil purposes. I don't need my telepathy to know you're in a bad way, Emma says from the doorway. Tony glances over his shoulder. Sorry I woke you, Emma, he says, and she crosses the room, concern on her face when she asks him if he wants to forget the nightmares, but he shakes his head. No, I used to make myself forget, and it was bad for me, he tells her quietly. She closes the curtains and slips her robe off as she climbs into the bed. I know more than one way to make a man forget his troubles, she says softly as she beckons him to join her. Meanwhile, in the vastness of space, Riri and Forge have arrived at the home of the Dwarves. There, the Dwarven Forge Master drinks from his tankard, explaining that their fires have gone out and they can't work on the Mysterium. Riri and Forge smile at the dwarf, asking if they can at least try. Can't say I like the look of those smiles, but all right then. I'll see what you got. If you can relight those forges, you can build your Mysterium ships here, the dwarf tells him as he leads the way. Many days later, the dwarf is shocked by the work that Riri and Forge have done, and the ships have already settled into orbit around the Forge world. Well, the dwarves congratulate you on your accomplishments. Quickly, the ships are sent away from Forge World and brought to Araco, home of the Mars mutants. And it's there that they're going to be used by the mutants in their return to Earth for the war against Orcus. Tony's plan is starting to take effect, and he wanted Orcus and Fei Long to know that they were coming. Luckily, they had someone on the inside. Firestar, the double agent, has managed to make Orcus and its ruling council believe that she worked with them. She motions to the Earth far below them and explains the plan. I have a secret line of dialogue with the mutant resistance on Earth. I took credit for something Mystique did, so I'd have their trust. Stark has been playing possum and has designed ships capable of withstanding our capital guns on Venus, the Earth, and the Moon. When he is through our defenses, his beachhead will be the Australian outback to minimize collateral damage. Fei Long smiles at this information revealed to him by the double agent Firestar. When Stark's ships arrive in the outback, every sentinel on Earth will be waiting for them, he says as he leaves the room in joy. But Moira shakes her head. No reason to tempt fate. Stark is dangerous. Nimrod? Moira says as she turns to the robot. He nods to his own assassin, which pops claws and begins to growl. You heard Moira. Kill Fei Long's pet Avenger. Back at the Hellfire Club, the final battle is drawing near as Tony leaves his secret lab, having wanted to give something to Emma, a gift that he made for his wife. He walks into her room, calling out to her. Hazel? He calls, but he stops short as he sees Emma as herself for the first time in months. You look like you, he says in surprise, and she nods. Don't be surprised, darling. If we're going to die, I'm going to leave an irresistibly fabulous corpse. He holds out the present for her. I hope you like it, he says softly, and she smiles at him as her stylist continues to work on her hair. How thoughtful, Anthony, but I didn't get you anything. Tony smiles, explaining that she gave him a second chance, that without her, he didn't know where he would be right now. However it goes out there, anything good that happens is because I had you to lean on. He tells her, and with her hair finished, he leads her to the outside waiting car, which will take her to the X-Men for the final battle of the Fall of X. Tony stumbles over a goodbye to her, wanting to say more, but Emma reaches out a hand to his face, leaning in. How about we discuss life after? If there is a life after, she whispers to him before they kiss. Tony watches the car pull away. His wife, Emma Frost, going to the final battle, but turns back as a scream echoes out of the club. He rushes inside to find a leather-clad assassin standing over the Hellfire guards. The assassin turns to Tony, popping claws out of his gloves with a schnick. Oh, crap! Tony curses. The assassin rushes forward, forcing Tony to leap behind the bar to avoid the claws. He comes up with a bottle of booze, hurling it at the attacker, before throwing a candelabra at him and setting him ablaze. The leather burns away to reveal a Sentinel-powered Wolverine corpse beneath it, which continues its attacks. Stalk! Catch! Fisk shouts in the balcony, throwing the Mysterium down to Tony. He grabs it, blocking another attack, but the assassin pulls away, slashing him across the chest. Tony stumbles, falling over, but the assassin prepares a killing blow. But a voice calls out from the front door. Luckily for you, I forgot something, Anthony. Emma calls out, her body shining in its diamond form. She rushes forward, grabbing the assassin from behind. Go, Anthony! He can't hurt me while I'm a diamond. I'll hold it off as long as I can. You should slip into something more deadly, she calls out as she begins to wrestle with the Wolverine assassin. Tony struggles away, leaving a trail of blood behind as he makes his way to his lab. Yes, dear, he gasps. Emma continues to fight, but her ring falls off onto the floor. The assassin reaches forward, putting it on her finger. The blocker shuts down her mutant powers, making her human once more. Oh God, she whispers as the assassin prepares its strike, but the floor explodes around them as Tony flies up in his new armor, the Mark 73. Don't you dare touch her, he shouts, the assassin lunging forward, trying to bury the adamantium claws into Iron Man's stomach, but the indestructible metal merely bounces off of the Mysterium, crumbling. Ha, well that's embarrassing. Performance issues? Tony notes as he reaches out, grabbing the assassin's head, crushing it in his grasp, letting the defeated Sentinel fall to the floor. Astonishing, Emma notes as she pulls off the ring and becomes diamond once more. And with that, the two walk outside. Thanks for coming back for me, Tony tells her. But Emma insists that she only came back for Tony's gift, her Hellfire knuckle dusters. He leaps into the air. Gotta go. Today's a work day. Hopefully I'll be alive for dinner, he calls out to her as she nods and smiles as he flies away. Good hunting, Anthony. He flies to Australia, where Orcus believes the mutant attack will begin, but Fei Long quickly learns the truth. The ships that they are tracking, the ones that he believes hold the armies of Arakko, aren't ships at all. Realizing the truth, Fei Long jumps down, rushing through the Orcus station, ordering the computer to prepare his personal armor. He rushes to the massive armor, bigger than even the largest Stark Sentinel. He straps in, launching himself into space. Meanwhile, in the outback of Australia, the ships have landed. Finding Iron Man waiting, he begins to hover into the air, holding out his arms, preparing the ships to activate. They all begin to swirl around him, connecting into one massive suit. Around him, the Sentinels begin to arrive, but Tony isn't worried anymore. The ships have been activated, creating a massive Sentinel Buster armor. Fei Long, come face your end! Tony shouts over the loudspeakers.
And there you have it. That was the Invincible Iron Man 13, 14, and 15. What did you guys think of today's video? Be sure to let us know in the comments down below. And we were lucky enough that Benny had pre-recorded this episode, as well as one more. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss when that is released. And of course, don't forget to like the video, and we will see you next time. Rest in peace, Benny.